What's up guys, Kevin here from Relax and Learn Guitar, and in this lesson I'm going to show you the 8 must-know chords that every guitarist should learn. You will be able to play literally thousands of songs when you learn these 8 chords. I'm going to show you the order to learn them in from easiest to more involved. I'm going to give you some tips on how to make them sound nice and clean and clear, and you'll be well on your way to learning all the songs you want to learn how to play on that guitar. Let's get into this great lesson and get those 8 chords under your fingers. We're going to be playing these chords with our non-dominant hand. So if you are right-handed like me, then you're going to strum your guitar typically with your right hand, and you're going to fret these chords with your left hand, your non-dominant hand. So for our hand, we're going to number our fingers so it's easier to keep track of what we're doing here. So your index finger is finger number 1, your middle finger is finger number 2, ring finger, finger number 3, and pinky, finger number 4. We're also going to talk about frets. So on your guitar, you have the nut of your guitar. Usually it's white on an acoustic guitar. It's the closest to your headstock up here. Then you have fret wire that is embedded into the fretboard of your guitar. That's the actual metal pieces. Now the space in between this nut and this fret, in this kind of space box right here, that's fret number 1. Space in between here is fret number 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now all the chords I'm going to show you today, we're going to be playing those in frets 1, 2, and 3, mostly using fingers 1, 2, and 3. And when it comes to the strings on our guitar, this big fat round string at the top here is the 6th string. So the 6th string is the one that's closest to you. Then you have string 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The first string is the high E, that's the skinniest string. These strings have notes and applied to them that when they're played open, and when I say open in this lesson, that means we're going to pluck the string and not press our fingers down on any of the frets. So those are open strings. And for the strings on a standard tune guitar, which you'll need for this lesson, it's E, A, D, G, B, E. And the easiest way to remember that is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Something I learned when I was probably like 12. It still sticks in my brain. Be sure and click the link in the description box below. Get your free resource. You get a chord chart with these 8 chords on it you can print out, a lesson on how to change those chords fast and smooth, and a song lesson to get you started. We're going to talk about our hand position. First, we're going to talk about our thumb on our non-dominant, or in my case, left hand. You don't want your thumb kind of peeking over all the time. Even if you have a large hand, we will be using our thumb to mute the strings. We'll get to that later. But you want to have your thumb on the neck of your guitar more like here, not down here, and not like all the way over like a baseball bat. You want to have some good pressure there. And then we're going to talk about arching our fingers, and those will become very important. When we're playing these chords on our guitar, we don't want our fingers to kind of lie down on the strings like this, because then you get, muted, dead strings. You want them to be arched, and I'll give you some tips on each of these chords and kind of the fingers to pay the most attention to. And then finally, we're going to talk about these strings and some fingerings. Now there are endless ways to play guitar chords. The fingerings I'm going to show you in this lesson is where you really should start and get those really, really good. But sometimes, and a lot of times, the fingers that we actually use to fret chord and chord shapes on our guitar really depends on the chord we're playing, like before and after that chord. So don't get too caught up on, well, this guy said to play this G chord this way, and Kevin said to play it this way. For the purpose of this lesson, stick to the fingerings, and then you can always build from there. Stick around to the end of the lesson. I'll talk to you about my starter series. If you're a true beginner guitar, you're definitely going to check out this playlist. It will help you get started and play songs that you love. So the first chord we're going to talk about is the E major chord. Now for this chord, you're going to be using your index finger to fret string number 3 on the 1st fret, middle finger on string number 5 on the 2nd fret, and your ring finger on string number 4 on the 2nd fret. Now this chord, and this is probably the most common way that you'll see this chord fretted, you play all 6 strings. That'll become a little more important later. Some chords you just play 5 strings or 4 strings. For the E major, play all 6 strings. So if you like this lesson, be sure and click that like button. We would really appreciate it. You'll help us grow the channel and help other folks see this lesson and learn these chords too. I recommend you pick each string individually, then strum it, and then pick it again. The reason we do that is because we might find things like this going on. What? So the arching the fingers is really important here. So you want to have a good pressure. You don't want to kind of lay your hands down. You want that thumb in a good spot. Also kind of, relax your elbow and your shoulder some. You don't want to be, all tense like this. It's more of like a lowered action. And you play around with it. Your elbow might kind of move more into your belly when you play. And if you pick them first, you can find out which strings are deadened, or maybe you're buzzing. You get this sound. Because you want to play these chords as close to the fret as possible. So you see like my ring finger is really close to that fret. It's not right on top of it, because when you're on top of that, that's when you get some string buzz, or you might get a deadened sound, but you want to be as close as you can get to that fret. With some nice arched fingers. Another thing you can do is the old pencil trick. You can use a pen or a pencil. You should be able to hold a pen or a pencil in your fingers and still get the chord to ring out. The next chord is the E minor chord. There was the E major. To play the E minor chord, lift up your index finger. So you have E major, kind of bright and happy. E minor, a little less happy, a little more sad. So you're leaving your index or your middle finger here on the 5th string 2nd fret. You're leaving your ring finger here on the 4th string 2nd fret. All 6 strings again. Now this is a chord you'll see people play differently. Sometimes you'll see, a lot of times, index finger 5th string, middle finger 4th string on that 2nd fret. Obviously same sound. At this point I'm going to say pick one. The easiest one to start with is just lifting up that index finger and playing it that way. Again, pick, strum, pick, and make your corrections. And you can, the 3rd chord is an A minor chord, and these are like what I think is the best way and the best order to learn them. For this A minor chord, another sad chord, you'll notice that that is a 5 string. So this A minor chord, you just play from the 5th string down. No 6th string. Here's the difference. With the 6th string, without. Now here's where you can mute a string. When you're looking at a chord chart, you'll see like X's above the strings. That means that that string doesn't get played. It gets muted. So, and then the O, if you see those above strings, that means it's an open string. So the way this A minor chord would be written on a chord diagram is the 6th string would have an X, the 5th string would be open, 4th string's fretted, 3rd, 2nd's fretted, and the high E is open. Now, if you notice, this A minor chord looks a whole lot, not a whole lot, exactly like an E major chord. Here's E major. You learned that one already. Here's A minor. 2 differences, play from the 5th string down, and you're just taking that E major shape and you're moving it all down a string. So instead of here for your E major, your index finger's on the 2nd string, your middle finger's on the 4th string, and your ring finger's on the 3rd string. Pick, strum, pick. And a lot of times learning guitar, like you can learn a lot of 2-chord songs. You can make up your own. I mean, A minor and E major sounds those 2 chords sound really good together, and I encourage you when you're learning these chords to don't feel like you got to learn all 8 at one time and make them all sound perfect. Like, be a little easier on yourself. Learn one at a time. Once you've got 2 under your fingers, learn switching between them. So the next chord's a C major chord. Now here's the A minor we just talked about. Very cool here. You're going to lift up your ring finger, leave your index and your middle finger down, lift up your ring finger, And you're going to do a little bit of a stretch here. It's going to be all the way over here onto the 5th string, 3rd fret. And the C is also a 5-string chord, or 5th string root. You'll hear that a lot. So again, strum from the 5th string down. Now this one can be a little bit of a stretch for beginners. Stick with it. A couple of things to keep in mind: arching those fingers, paying attention to where your thumb is, nice and relaxed. The things I see happen here the most is people will drag that middle finger down and deaden that 3rd string. So pay attention to that middle finger especially. And you can also, if your hand's big enough, you can use your thumb to actually just rest slightly against the 6th string, and it is muted. That's the X above it on a tablature, or on a chord diagram rather. So you can strum that C chord while muting that 6th string, and it sounds cool. But give that C chord a try, and remember you can pivot right from that A minor, just 1 finger difference. A minor, C. A minor, C. Okay, we're on this C shape. We're going to play a D minor next. I think it's good to learn that one next because you're doing a similar kind of stretch here. You got the C shape here. Here's what a D minor looks like. So here's your C. You're going to lift up your index finger and put it on the 1st string, 1st fret. Your middle finger is going to go on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And your ring finger is going to go onto the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now for this D minor chord, you play from the 4th string down. So the 4th string's open. Pick, strum, pick. Arch those fingers. And again, it looks... the cool thing is, moving from that C to the D minor, your index finger is always playing kind of in this 1st fret, your middle finger is playing those notes on the 2nd fret, ring finger on the 3rd fret, so it's similar there. And then we have the D chord. So you got the D minor, sad, D major, very happy. Now, if you notice on major to minor chords, you're only changing 1 note. Like if we had this E, and we played the E minor, we just changed 1 note. This is D minor, this is D. We're actually just changing 1 note. We're going to move our hands a little bit because it's just a more comfortable way to play it and move around to the next chords that you'll be using. So for this D major chord, you're going to have index finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, your middle finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and your ring finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Remember, just 4 strings on that. And that one might be one where you really kind of have to move that thumb down and get that wrist in position. And that's the D major chord. Our 7th chord is the G chord. Very, very common. Sounds great with these open chords. Should have mentioned that if you hear the term open chords, that's kind of what we're working on here. Or you might hear them called cowboy chords. These are open chords. This is the open G chord. I'm going to recommend that you play it this way. It's all 6 strings again. Index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Middle finger, 6th string, 3rd fret. Ring finger, 1st string, 3rd fret. Pick, strum, pick. Arch those fingers, get close to those frets. Now you also see a G chord played like this a lot. I call it the 4-finger G. You leave that index in that middle where it's at. Then your ring finger is going to play on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and your pinky on the 1st string, 3rd fret. And this is another one, like I said, I'm not kidding around here. You can play chord shapes so many different ways. Another way you saw this G chord played, especially, this might be a good one to start with as well, just what you're comfortable with. You can play the G chord this way, which is middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, ring finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret, and pinky on the 1st string, 3rd fret. Because what that does, a lot of times G's and C's get played together a lot. So you have a G to a C. And it's a lot easier to change from that G to that C than doing this. As a beginner, beginner, it might be better to play it this way, to move around this way. You also like if you went to an A minor to or a G to an A minor, or E minor. A lot of things you can do there. And then the 8th and final chord that you must know how to play is the A chord. I'm putting this one last because we're cramming our fingers all into one fret. So the A chord is a 5th string root. You play from the 5th string down. You'll see it played like this mostly. I have my index finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, my middle finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, my ring finger on the 2nd string 2nd fret. So there's a lot going on there. I recommend you learn it this way first. I've seen people play, and if you watch any of my videos, I play my A like this. I'm barring all 3 of those strings with just my index finger. But then that high E string gets muted. But I would start here for that A chord. Pick, strum, pick. Now we're going to transition back to where we started from this A major to an E major. So to do that, going from this A major shape, we're going to lift up our fingers. Our index finger is going to go back down here on the 3rd string 1st fret. Our middle finger is going to go to that 5th string 2nd fret, and our ring finger onto the 4th string 2nd fret, playing all 6 strings for that E major. And there you have the 8 must-know chords. These chords are in thousands and thousands of songs. They'll serve you very well. Be sure and pay attention to where you're fretting your fingers. Those arching tips are important, where your thumb is, and really just be easy on yourself. Stick with it just a little bit every day, and you'll get there. So I'm going to play through all 8 of these chords slowly. I'm going to pick, strum, and pick them with the chord diagrams, and you can grab your guitar and play along. So here we go. E major. E minor. A minor. C. D minor. D major. G. A major. Enjoy that lesson. Be sure and click that link in the description box and get your free resource with that chord chart and a couple of other great lessons to get you going. And if you are a beginner and would like to check out the starter series, I have a great playlist here of 7 lessons you can use to learn how to play that guitar, covering a lot of ground with chords, strumming, some great songs, and a lot of fun. So check that out. I will see you guys for the next lesson. Remember, you're never too old to learn.